As part of our WhatWorks growth series, today's session is entitled Growing Up in BC. Today, we'll be hearing from the Technology Impact Award finalists for the Company of the Year Growth Award. And we'll hear some practical WhatWorks strategies for growing a tech company in BC.
Thank you very much, Erica. And let me start by saying on behalf of Osler, it is a true honor to be sponsoring the TIA Company of the Year growth category for the fourth consecutive year. 2021 has been an incredible year of growth in BC's tech sector. The Osler team has been very, very busy closing venture capital financings, merger and acquisition transactions, and increasingly IPOs. And it's also been excellent to see companies like our four finalists have a great growth trajectory during the last year. And I want to start by congratulating each of the teams of Launchpad, Acuva, PrecisionOS, and Riipen for this very prestigious award nomination, and wish you all the best in the eventual award. So let's kick it off. We're going to go sort of around the virtual room in terms of the questions, and then we'll open it up later to questions in the chat room. So let's start off with talking about some of your company achievements. This award nomination is obviously a great achievement unto itself, but love for each of you to talk about one or two major company achievements during your respective corporate journeys. I'm going to start with you, Bruce, and then we'll go around the room.
Sounds good. And thank you, Mark, and thank you, BC Tech, for having us here from Launchpad. We're really honored to be nominated as one of the finalists, and looking around the room, really cool to be amongst the other three finalists. My name is Bruce Key. I am the founder and the principal at Launchpad Technologies. What we do at Launchpad is we do software integration and workflow automation. And you kind of wonder, what does that mean? Is that what we do is we put the puzzle together for all parts of your business. For example, most companies would capture data in your sales and marketing systems, e-commerce platform, finance, accounting, HR, inventory, logistics, you have it. What we do is that we break down those silos and streamline all of the data and workflows together. So in terms of answering the question of some of the moments and journeys, what we have done, I think the biggest achievement is that we started in 2018 as a young company with $500 in the bank as our seed funding. And without any external investments, we have now grown to this year, closing the year on about $10 million in sales revenue. And we have grown from here, based in Vancouver, to expand into rest of Canada, US, and also South America operations. Coming up to the end of the calendar year, on track to hit about 100 person in employees team size. And also we, from get-go, we have been targeting Fortune 500 companies globally. So we are really proud to be working with Fortune 500 companies like GM, Salesforce, Time Magazine. There's quite a number that goes on. So the team is very proud, and we're really happy to be here in BC. Very fortunate to be part of this ecosystem that is growing and thriving, especially with BC Tech providing a lot of the support. So looking forward to be diving in with the rest of the group here today.
That's great. Thank you, Bruce. That's amazing growth trajectory in terms of revenue and people from a standing start in 2018. So you and your team should be congratulated.
Thank you, sir.
I can see why you're a finalist.
Thank you.
So no pressure, Manoj, but over to you to top that.
Thank you very much. It's very inspiring and also honor to be here. Before coming back to your question, I think one or two sentences on why Acuva was started. As we all know, access to clean drinking water is a fundamental human need. But even today, over 2 billion people do not have access to clean drinking water. In fact, millions die every year. And there is a big gap, not only in terms of unmet need, but also the technologies that can enable access to clean drinking water in the areas and territories that people live. Acuva was founded basically to fulfill this gap and enabling clean drinking water in the areas and the countries that didn't have. From an idea in 2014 when it was founded to a global company in less than 5 years is an amazing journey. We have not only commercialized our product in our own backyard like Canada and the US, but in countries like Europe, China, Korea, Latin America, India, Philippines, you name the country, in Ecuador, Colombia. And that's the amazing journey that we have gone through together with the team. We have our boots on the ground, we have customers on all these places, and this is being done in less than 5 years with a homegrown technology ecosystem that supported Acuva's growth in BC here. So in a nutshell, we have created a hope for these over 2 billion people who didn't have access to clean drinking water for decades, and they probably didn't know how long it will take. So we have made this technology in such a way that we put ourselves like an Intel of water purification. Any appliance can be converted into a water purification system by adopting our modules, or we can say the technology. And that's the biggest achievement, I would say, in less than 5 years, that we are creating a global company and also solving a big problem by changing a big business.
That's incredible, Manoj. I love to hear stories of companies becoming multinational, but having their headquarters here in Vancouver, and also doing a great deal of social good along the way. So that's an incredible story.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, turn it over to you, Rob.
Hi there, my name is Rob Oliveira. As stated before, I'm the Chief Creative Officer of PrecisionOS technology. And congratulations to the Bruce and Manoj. Those are some pretty impressive stories. So I hope I can live up to that. That's a hard one to follow, but our mission here, we create surgical simulation for residents and medical device companies. And I kind of stumbled into this. I quite randomly met my co-founder through our wives, and they sent us on a mandate, and we were forced to go have a drink together because they decided if they were going to be friends, that we were going to be friends. So I ended up with a stranger in a bar talking entrepreneurship and software, and we just had a really good conversation. And so I thought I'd introduce him to our other co-founder, Colin O'Connor, who I've been working with in the software, in the game development industry for like 25 years. Most of my career has been spent working alongside Colin. And he had just purchased a VR headset. And fast forward to Colin's basement, we are all looking through some VR software, and we just kind of collectively had a moment where we're like, we could use this to do something. And Colin and I were looking for something kind of next steps after this many years in the game industry, and we just wanted to do something with more purpose. I love entertainment, but we kind of are like, so how can we use our skills in a different way? And so we created some prototypes, and we decided the best use of this technology would be to help medical device reps, who are, if you don't know, people that are in the OR with the surgeons every day. It's something I didn't know before I started this journey. And so they're there advising the surgeons on the safe use of implants, because they can't possibly learn all these implants. It's a really, each device company might have 200 or 300 products, and the surgeon can't safely know how to use all of them at all times. And so they have this representative there. So we say huge opportunity for training there. The residents have the same problem. They want to learn these implants. They can't possibly do this in a safe manner, or they can't practice on patients for good reason. And so we thought there has to be something here. And so we created some prototypes, and pretty soon we realized there was a market for this, and this is something people wanted. We didn't have to sell people on the idea. People pretty much got it, that this is going to be the future of training. They just didn't understand how it fit into their pipeline. And so that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years, is educating, trying to find that product market fit. How can we help these people in a way that they need and that they understand immediately? And I'd say, so one of our I think some of our past achievements, we've scaled the company quite a bit, obviously. We've also are starting to get back validation. Validation is critical to surgeon adoption. So we've done several independent studies, again, with doctors and organizations that we're not affiliated with. And the research is starting to come back that this actually works and that there's transfer validity and that this works, VR works. And so that's been one of our proudest accomplishments. We've also partnered from a social perspective. We managed to partner with this fantastic organization called Sign International. And now they create implants, they give them away for free, and they train people for free in developing countries, in places where they have poor equipment or no equipment, and they teach them how to use this device for broken bones that helps them. The family members that were previously out for like a year, in a developing country, your primary earner could be out for a year. That's devastating to a family. This company helps and educates those people. So we were able to partner with them with some support from Facebook and Epic Games, whose software we use to make our products, and provide our time to create this product that's going to help surgeons in these developing countries for free. So that's one of our proudest achievements this last year. That just finally got released.
Excellent.
Yeah,
and it's a testament to the resilience, in the sense that it's a long sort of life cycle to get a company in your space off the ground. So
it's a bit of a change, yes.
From the beginnings in a bar in a basement to where you are today.
Yeah. To back in the basement.
There you go. Yeah. That's great. Over to you, Dave. I know your story, but share your story with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and thanks BC Tech for hosting the event today. My name is Dave Savory. I'm one of the co-founders of Riipen, and I lead our experiential learning team. Riipen, we're a work integrated learning technology platform that really focuses on helping learners, students and learners of all backgrounds really develop skills and experience to help them transition and be successful in their careers. We do that in a number of ways, but primarily we do that by partnering directly with universities and colleges, boot camps, upskilling programs who want to help their students actually get the opportunity to apply their learning to real world projects. So we've built a marketplace. We're the world's largest project-based experiential learning marketplace that is connecting academia and industry in this way. We have over 340 institutions, colleges in the US, Canada, the UK, and Australia now, who are using the platform, with over 5,000 professors from those schools who use our system every semester to really design and launch and manage their experiential learning component of their courses. And one of the ways we've done that is by building our industry community. So we have over 12,000 employers from all over the world who are posting projects that are real world projects that are keeping them up at night, that they're looking to collaborate with different academic programs, that it's relevant to the learning objectives of their program. In terms of achievements, there's really two I'd like to highlight that have really come to fruition in 2021 on the back of a lot of groundwork over the last 5 or 6 years. Our North Star metric really is student experiences, students actually getting a hands-on project experience. Our goal by 2025 is to deliver 1 million student experiences, but in the last couple of weeks, we just surpassed 100,000 students who have now gone through the program and connected to a project. So that's one. And then the other one is part of the resiliency and some of the things that we've had to do over the last little bit with the pandemic is we pitched and developed and closed a partnership with the federal government of Canada at the end of last year. With aim to really help students and businesses collaborate on more flexible types of opportunities that wasn't just a full-time hiring type of relationship, which obviously a lot of traditional internships and co-ops dissolved last year pretty rapidly last summer. And so we pitched a program where we said, hey, well, why don't we do something in the middle where we create a fund to pay stipends for students to do 80-hour projects with employers. And so it was a $12 million project, of which $8.5 million of it was stipends directly to students for 80-hour projects, paid about $20 an hour. And the goal was to get 6,125 students a paid project opportunity. And we actually delivered that in the first 6 months of this year, and are really have a huge wait list and are waiting to grow that into the next year's program as well.
Very impressive, particularly impressive to see how you've scaled the company over from when we I first got to know you a number of years ago. So that's very impressive. I think your solution is particularly important in a COVID type environment and as we come out of COVID. So well done. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We've talked about achievements, and we all know it's not a linear path and there's pivots along the way. So what we're going to have each of our panelists talk about is a major pivot that they've experienced during their company's journey. And we will start again with Bruce.
Sounds good. Yeah, those are amazing stories, by the way. Thanks for sharing, guys. Enjoyed Rob and Dave. The proverbial, having a drink at the bar, coming up with the ideas. That's the entrepreneurship in a bottle, literally. So to your question, I think there are many moments of pivots. I'm sure everyone here could relate. From Launchpad's perspective, I think there's a few moments of pivot. First of all, I think, our approach has been a little bit different from traditional. From day minus, 60, before the company even started operation, the idea has been formed because the need of the market for integration, for breaking down data silos, operational automation, workflow processes has been around. So integration as a category is nothing new, but how do you deliver something to the customer that is fast, reliable, and also cost effective? So that has been, a question that we've been propelling Launchpad to move forward. So we were doing a lot of market research. So when we started the company in 2018, we decided to build a myth and a legend around the company. I think so. The $500, the infamous $500 in the bank, has been told and retold many a times. Let's face it, that's equivalent to what you spend on coffee in 6 months time. But our team has consistently started to achieve triple-digit growth. So at one point, I think it was really the pivot moment for us is we realized that in order to be successful, we need to go bigger. We have been, very much focused initially out of the gate on, a lot of the services, a lot of the kind of tagging onto existing market offerings already, but we needed to go bigger to be able to, put our own stamp on our product. So we decided very quickly at the end of year one to start investing in our own platform. And it was a scary moment, especially, we decided to operate with a bootstrap strategy. Without external funding, to both operate, grow, and also invest using our profits to reinvest. That was a very momentous decision for us to pivot. But it's paid off in strides in terms of ROI. Our platform Passport, PaaS, platform as a service, play on words, is now competing with the giants like MuleSoft, Dalboomi, and Informatica out there on the market. So we have been able to really kind of be really proud and looking at it. I think another really important moment for us in terms of the pivot is we from the get-go have just from day one, with limited resources, we wanted to build a company that really spoke about people first values. This is the third company I've been involved in terms of driving and growing. There are many lessons learned in the past career about fast growth, and but oftentimes what I have always witnessed is as the company grow, we had moments of adding 3-4 new hires a week, right? And you're doubling those gates from growing from 10 to 20 people, and then 20 to 40, 60, and then 60 jumping to 120, 140. Those are various gates where a lot of processes and tools are different. And your operating frameworks are changing, from a smaller, more nimble processes to more, streamlined and automated and gated ways of operation as a company. So I've seen, as we grow that fast, which Launchpad is on that trajectory, we wanted to make sure that people are taken care of. And it's oftentimes it's easier sitting at a boardroom and draw it out on a board and say this is our values and point to it. But when the pandemic hit, it was really a moment for us that we realized that we wanted to look back one day upon the decisions that we make and be proud. So I remember specifically that day when the announcements was made around the shutdowns globally. Customers, are shutting offices down. We decided as an organization not to lay off any team members globally, and I remember spending the evening sitting on the patio and just kind of thinking back, and it wasn't too much of a decision for me, but I wanted to respect the rest of my executive team. So the next day we had that meeting, looked around the table, everyone had resolution in their eyes, and you can just see that this is something we all believed in and we wanted to carry it out. And also not only that, during COVID, we actually grew in our revenue. So when that happened, we decided as a group to start pushing profit sharing programs into the organization during COVID to take care of our people even stronger. So now as we're emerging out of the pandemic, we're looking forward to helping businesses emerging into this digital economy with their best foot forward. So I think those couple pivot moments are worth noting and looking back upon with fondness. That is not to say in the moment itself is not scary, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's great. A lot to unpack there, but the transition from a services oriented company to a product company, that can be a really challenging transition, but very rewarding once you've crossed that chasm, which you have. Maintaining your culture during a time of growth is very difficult to do. So, very admirable that you have focused on that. And then during COVID, it would have been very easy to get into a sort of layoff and cutback mode. And I think, commend you for sort of sticking to the people first mentality. So yeah, that's a lot to learn from what you just commented on. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Mark.
Let's move over to Manoj to talk about a pivot that you've experienced.
Thank you very much. As Bruce said, I think in all of our lives, these moments come several times. And in hardware business like Acuva, it is all the more difficult and challenging. So in 2014, when we started this company, our goal, and basically the inspiration behind why we started was to bring forward this amazing proprietary technology called ultraviolet LED-based disinfection for water treatment to enable clean drinking water globally. But at that point of time, the technology was new and was so expensive that it was not easy to find who would buy the product. So 2016, we launched our first ever product, and that was the first in the world to have ultraviolet LED for killing bacteria and viruses into the water. But the product was so expensive that we really struggled, but we eventually found the luxury yacht owners in North America, the people have millions of dollars and they need clean drinking water while on the go, and they pile, thousands of water bottles before they embark. And we found our beachhead. We started selling. They were very happy, and the market started growing. We expanded from boats to RVs to cottages, but all in basically high affordability regimen. And so while the product made great sense to them, and we created several products to cater to these markets, it was also getting harder for us to scale and also we were not getting closer to our vision to how to get this technology in countries like India and Philippines and Bangladesh and Africa, because that's where majority of the population and the market is for drinking water. So we made a tough decision in 2018-19 that, okay, we will still continue with this, but we will defocus on this and will create B2B products, which we can actually sell to appliance manufacturer, because we wanted to scale from North American business to global business. So we identified around 50 to 60 appliance manufacturers globally who were already manufacturing appliances like water purification systems, refrigerator, water cooler, dispensers, and we created products that can be integrated inside those appliances. So these appliances become the water purification system. And our technology works off grid because it's a very low power consuming. So that was an amazing decision we made. It wasn't easy because we switched our business model from direct to consumer to B2B. And in 2019, I probably traveled 1 million miles, in all those countries, meeting these appliance manufacturers and convincing them that it all sounded great. By end of 2019, COVID hit, and nobody had seen that coming. So while everything was going well in Acuva's life, we signed up several contracts with appliance manufacturers. Almost you name the company, and they started testing and integrating our device. In 2020, all of them shut down their factories and offices, and they started working from home. So our exponential growth aspiration came to almost halt because OEM integration takes time. The companies were not working on new technology adoptions. They were on survival mode, and people started working from home. But in that moment, we also saw an opportunity, because when people started working from home, they started improving their home, and a lot of surge on our consumer product demand started coming in early 2021, late 2020, when the COVID was at its peak. So we I would say, in a very fast forward manner, we readjusted our business model momentarily to start selling product online. Not only on our own website, but we registered products on Amazon and all these third-party platforms, and signed up all the distributors who could actually distribute our product to carry on till the time these OEMs started working again. And this not only had enabled us to quickly adjust, but we grew 3 times during the COVID, which we were actually at some point, we were really making it difficult whether or not we will sustain the previous year's revenue. So not only we grew 3 times, we grew in our teams. And as Bruce said, the first and foremost thing, we focused on how to take care of our people. We did not even a single person go anywhere, not only in Canada, but anywhere in the world on account of this affordability. So that has been a few instances. There are quite a lot as in everybody's journey, but I would say these are really difficult decisions, but at the end of the day, they were very fruitful to make.
Yeah, those are very critical stories. And I think when you think about changing your target market, changing your go-to-market strategy, and doing all of that in a pandemic, that is, yes. That's pretty incredible. So thank you for that, Manoj.
Thank you.
Let's move to you, Rob.
Sure. So I mean, when I read this question, I think it feels like our entire existence has been a series of like micro pivots. Like I mean, everyone I'm sure has the same stories, but I think what we're doing is so new that there's no kind of model for it. So we were just constantly struggling. Initially we struggled to find who our customer is, like I'm sure most people do, because we had lots of users, but we just didn't know who was going to pay for it, because the users don't necessarily pay for the product. So that was a struggle. And so initially we constantly just were bobbing and weaving and trying to figure out, how this was going to work, because everybody knew it had value. But again, we just didn't know who exactly our customer was. So I remember some meetings where we would, just get destroyed in a meeting. And then one night we just rewrote the entire pitch deck, presented again to the next day. Some people were in the previous meeting and we had completely changed our business model overnight. And then it resonated with those folks, right? So that's how quickly things can change. We had a completely new business model within a day, which is different now. So our whole lifespan has been just this series of little micro pivots. But a couple that I would say would be, and the bigger ones would be when we discovered the Oculus Quest. So we went down to a convention put on by Facebook. Previously, our system ran on a larger headset. It had these, what they're called base stations. You have to usually either mount them on stands or on your walls. And that's how the VR headset knows where you are in space. And so it was a bit of a clunky affair. And we were just like, how are we going to scale this? This is like, tough to set up, even for us. And we knew what we were doing. It's like many demo nightmare stories of trying to get these things to work, on the spot, on time. And we discovered this device, the Oculus Quest. So this is basically a standalone device. It's less powerful, but it's completely all-in-one. There's no wires. It doesn't need a PC. And when we saw that, we were like, that is what we need to be doing. So we pivoted the entire software library to this. We stopped what we were doing. We worked for about 3 to 4 months, and we converted our entire library to run on this thing. And it was just a game changer. It was just, now it became scalable. It was just much easier to use. So we went from selling 2 to 3 systems at a time to hundreds of systems at a time, because that's now feasible. A company can scale. They can see how they can scale this. So that was a big one. During the pandemic, we'd started having some online features, because these things are, as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can connect to anywhere in the world with a person that has this headset as well. So put that in focus as well. Anyone that has this headset, you can connect online. So obviously with the pandemic, that became a lot more attractive to be able to educate people online, and from wherever they are, connecting surgeons with residents and device companies with surgeons. It just became a really attractive proposition. So we went from this one scary month where we were like, what are we going to do, to the phone started ringing quite aggressively. And we started accelerating that feature set. So we came up with a method as well where we could broadcast. Another scale challenge is that everyone has to have a headset to be together. So we came up with a way to broadcast what's in the headset to more people. So hundreds of people could be watching what people are doing inside the headset. So then our model, we started offering a service where companies could put on courses with their surgeons, with their superstar surgeons, and they could discuss tips and techniques and educate other surgeons online in a Zoom-like setting like this, and they'd be broadcasting the feed from our VR. So that became a big part of our business for a while there because of COVID. So that was a bit of a pivot for us. We kind of stepped away from our core business for a bit. And so I'd say those are the 2 big ones for us that really kind of changed the way our company runs and how we do business.
You've definitely demonstrated a lot of adaptability, particularly during COVID, with how you've changed your business model. And a common theme I took out of your comments was really listening to your customers, and in terms of finding product market fit, like really understanding your customers' needs. So that's absolutely a new. I come from video games, and generally we build something and people will either like it or they don't, and we give them what they're going to get, and they take it or leave it. And so this is a very different, for me, based on my experiences, like having to craft, like we're all, if you're almost there, that's not good enough. Right. So
finding that voice of customer has been a new challenge, and again, a new experience for myself.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And last but not least, Dave.
Thanks, Mark. So we've really only had 2 major pivots in our history, but the latest one was during the pandemic. And so at the end of 2019, we raised our first venture round, with new investors. We had angel investors before, but they were all impact investors, very different. And so when we closed our venture round at the end of 2019, they're all US-based ed tech investors in our space. And so at that time, we had two main revenue streams that contributed to our ARR. About 60% of it was academic, and the other 40 was employer from our industry partners selling subscriptions. And when COVID hit, and so that was the plan. We recruited senior salespeople. We built the team up in January, February of 2020, and then COVID hit, and things started to change really quickly. And with higher education, colleges and universities faced a lot of disruption that they've never faced ever. And so a lot of decisions and a lot of change and a lot of adapting had to be rapidly done in a short period of time. And we really didn't know how it was going to impact our side of the market. We were already doing most of our experiences in a virtual sense, but we weren't sure if it was going to get kind of kicked to the can in terms of priorities. And we actually saw the opposite. We saw a huge increase on the academic side in terms of demand and interest to continue doing more of this and to help students get more real world experiences in their programs, because that's a differentiator from an enrollment standpoint, which schools really do care about. And in order to do that, we had to make a tough decision on what to do with the industry side of the ecosystem. We didn't have a freemium trial option on the industry side. It was always, hey, let's buy a subscription. I think our lowest one was around $1,000 a year, and then you can do a certain number of projects. And which for most organizations is not a crazy amount of money, but it still is a barrier to getting started and signing up, especially a lot of nonprofits and charities that we work with, startups who do have lots of amazing projects and people who want to support them, but adding a fee in front of it is definitely a barrier. So at the time, we actually kicked around the idea of just trial, like what would happen to the marketplace and the demand on the industry side if we just completely made it free and remove that as a barrier. So we limped into it and kind of said it was for the next 90 days or something like that, it's free, just to see what would happen. And it 12x the number of companies that were signing up every week, every month, and more importantly, posting multiple projects to the marketplace, which really had an impact on the number of schools we were able to bring on and support, and really increased all of our marketplace matching metrics. And so we decided to make that move permanent, but we immediately wiped off 40% of our ARR. And so it was a really tough decision. And we had an employer partnership sales team that was selling licenses on commission. And there was quite a few of them. I was running that team at the time. And it was a difficult decision, difficult conversations with our investors who just came in, who valued the business at a certain level based on the two revenue streams. But ultimately, recognizing that we had better product market fit on the academic side, we really, by simplifying and making it free and removing barriers, we could focus on just how do we grow as many industry, how do we diversify different channels that employer partners can come into our ecosystem, and how do we empower our team to really just focus on getting right fit projects into the ecosystem, because that's going to help us service and renew our existing academic portfolio of clients, but also be able to go out and get more. So we haven't looked back. That is permanent, and it's been permanent for over a year now. And we wouldn't have the volume of projects and student experiences that we've been able to achieve if we didn't make that move. And it's also opened up a lot of other partnership opportunities with chambers of commerce, boards of trade, accelerator programs, who just see it as a great thing to be funneling their employers to as a resource.
Yeah, that's great, Dave. I think it's commendable when you make that kind of bold business decision, which in the short term has an impact on your revenue, and you got to go explain that to your board of directors and your investors. But in the long term, it's the right call. So that's commendable that you and the team did that. I'm mindful of time, so we're going to get a little bit more rapid fire with our next questions. The next question is, if there's one aspect of your growth journey that you can share that can inspire others who are listening in building their business, what would that be? Over to you, Bruce.
That's a really good question. One thing that I want to share, I think, thinking back, the reason I really wanted to explore entrepreneurship from my first trial when I was 19 years old was I still remember that feeling. It's that belief that in the human condition, in all of us, we all have this desire to create. I wanted to prove that as entrepreneurs, as a special breed, we have this innate desire to create something out of nothing, give life to an idea and watch it flourish, and letting this fighting spirit and belief and achievement become an archetypal building block of an organization. So I think just meandering that spirit of it through your day-to-day and remembering the journey itself is, as you're creating, as we just shared and heard, from the colleagues here, the stories everyone are going through, it's remembering the reason why you're doing this, why you're in this, and also watching the people that's flourishing, that's around the organization, the ecosystem. Looking back on these decisions that we're making, it's incredible to the fulfillment of it is incredible. So I think that is one big thing for me personally, and as an organization, I think it's about tying all of these vision and values and what we do together, and also understanding our customers, sharing that journey, but while providing a very safe environment for everyone. So I think if there's one thing to call out, it is remembering why we're doing what we're doing, and the belief of creation.
That's great. Very inspirational, Bruce. Thank you.
Thanks.
Over to you, Manoj.
Thank you. I agree with what Bruce has just said. I think the entrepreneurship starts with a passionate idea. And in my case, some of you may not know, I came here in 2008 as an immigrant from India. So not having access to clean drinking water is something that I have faced firsthand myself, and billions of people in India and overseas. So the sense of giving back to community was always there in my mind, but probably Acuva gave me the reason to do so. So this passion and perseverance, I think these are the key things that you need to have that should constantly drive you against all odds, and something that gives you inspiration and energy to keep going when things may or may not be to your satisfaction, to your likings. And that is the root, but then you need to build a team around you with like-minded people who share the same passion, same energy, and same vision. And that's what we did. Just to give you an example, so this is what we created as a first product, and this is our current product. This is what we plan to sell in India. This is what we were selling to the boat owners or luxury boat guide. So this is what I think that drives me, the feeling of happiness. When the first customer we signed up in the Philippines, they are basically enabling clean drinking water in schools and hospitals and all these places. And that was a big challenge for them. But when we implemented our technology, hundreds and thousands of school children are drinking clean water uninterrupted without having to worry, gives us immense satisfaction. And that's just one example. There are hundreds and thousands of such examples that keeps us driving all the time. So that's what I would say is important for any entrepreneurship journey and success.
I love that pay it forward kind of mentality. and that's amazing. So great. Over to you, Rob.
Yeah, I'm always following Manoj, which is hard. It's very
You're all tough acts to follow. So.
No, I mean, this is my third startup, so yeah, there's something in people that makes them want to do this, and it's again, it is important to remember that core idea and be passionate about that core idea. Like, if you think if it's just about money, it is pretty much doomed to failure. You just, because it's hard, and just based on my experience in games and building software and teams, anything that I've ever built that's really good was the hardest. Making great things is really, really hard. So if it's hard, you're probably doing it right. If it's too easy, you're probably, I don't know how successful it's going to be, but it's just a really hard thing. So if you're not passionate about that core idea, it's really, again, you need that to keep you going during those hard times. And I think the other thing that my partners and I share is that we're kind of our own worst critics. So it's almost like, for me, it's to the point where I'm uncomfortable taking a compliment, because that doesn't drive me forward. And so we're always looking for, what didn't you like about a product? Like, okay, that's great, you like this, but what didn't you like? How can we make this better? And I think for us, that's what helped us advance, I think, in a shorter period of time. Not short enough for us, but again, it's just always finding how you can make something better. I think that's part of that path to greatness. And echoing the other guys as well, as just that team. You need a team of like-minded people around you to help that. You can't do it by yourself. So those would kind of be my big three.
All very good advice. And Dave.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we started Riipen right out of university. So Dana, Jordan, and I, this was our first venture, and we picked a complex model to try to innovate in higher education, which isn't the most innovative area sometimes. But I would say that the best thing we've learned, and would encourage, we speak to young entrepreneurs all the time, is like, if you're not hearing no often and frequently, you're probably not pushing hard enough. And like, some of the best wins we've had over the years, whether it was securing your first angel investor, securing your first big funded project with the government or with RBC, launching a new school in the US, whatever it may be, there was a lot of no's that went into getting those yeses. So kind of building on the theme that I think I've heard from each of the other founders here, that it's important to recognize, and you have to kind of be prepared for that, and okay with it, and be able to share that kind of positive and not get negative on it. Share that positivity, because it filters down to the rest of your team.
Very good advice. You've got a sales background, and so I think that is instrumental in being able to take that no and continue to be positive, looking for the yes. That's great. Well, we have time for one more question, and so I'm going to ask each of the panelists, what's next for each of your companies in your growth journey, other than, of course, unicorn status, but that kind of goes without saying. But in terms of next chapter for your company, what's next, Bruce?
Yes, great timing for the question. We're just finishing our fiscal year, and we just finished our offsite workshop on the planning session too. So upcoming in the next 2 to 3 years, our drive is going to be focused on verticalization into the various different industry verticals. So for instance, if you think about integration, our approach has always been, we're pretty agnostic. So solution-wise, if you're in manufacturing, if you're in the surfing tech, in higher ed, K-12, or SaaS technology, the back-end integration of your operation is the ones and zeros are fairly similar when our team looks at it. But however, from a go-to-market strategy, each customer, may operate slightly differently within the vertical than the other. And also there are very specific solutions within those areas. And our big focus is to partner with the right product partners and service partners within those verticals. And we're starting with manufacturing, education, automotive, SaaS, technology, FinServ, FinTech. Those are some very prominent areas that we're getting into and building some repeatable solutions that would see quick adoption. We're already having some initial success right now in the last 6 months, trying out the verticalization. So looking forward to diving even deeper into those areas and make the go-to-market hurdle even lower for everyone. Right now, after the pandemic, any business is a digital business, and reducing those hurdles are extremely important. So we look forward to helping our customers to really emerge really strong.
Very good. We'll be watching this space for that growth in different verticals. Thank you. Manoj.
Oh, thank you. We are chasing a big dream, global business. So next steps for us is to establish boots on the ground. We are hiring teams in India, China, Korea, Latin America, Europe. And besides that, we are also parallelly helping our appliance manufacturing partners to adopt our technology so that they can go through the integration process and launch in the respective markets. And in addition to that, building a massive manufacturing capacity through subcontractors. We do not manufacture any of our products. So outsource supply chain and manufacturing in Asia at the same time to fulfill demand that we are generating globally. And these are the three main challenges, or I would say next steps that I plan amid pandemic. We can't travel, so that doesn't make things easy, but we have to do it.
All sounds very ambitious, and I'm sure you're up for the challenge. So
thank you.
Well, again, we'll be watching your success.
Thank you.
Rob, what's next?
So for our part, we have spent the last year and a half preparing to scale. So our business is very content heavy, and so we spent the last year and at least a year and a half just building systems and infrastructure to let us do this faster and make it more repeatable and do more of it. So now that we're kind of at the point where all our partners and other device companies they all have a strategy of some sort for VR. It's just the way things are going to go. So they all have a strategy. They all have a plan or a roadmap for VR or AR in their plans, and so we want to be ready to capitalize on that. We also have another product that we've been working on, which is more about preoperative planning. And so we have Health Canada approval, and now we're just waiting on our US approval so that we can start rolling that out. And that's more of a product that lives in the hospital and is for surgeons to help preoperatively plan in VR. And so that's going to be a big focus for us soon. And so again, we're just anticipating that and scale. Those are our two big kind of challenges for the next couple of years.
All right, scaling while also launching a new product. So also very ambitious.
Yes.
Great. And we'll wrap it up with you, Dave.
Awesome, thank you. I mean, a couple of things. I mentioned the Level Up program that we launched this year and delivered on. That is the first kind of experience that we've delivered that's co-curricular, meaning that it's not for school credit. It's outside of, there's no educators involved. So it was a huge kind of new growth area for us. So it's really kind of exploring how to expand Level Up in Canada, but we're now starting to export that model to the US. And we're working with a lot of different government and private funders in the US who want to grow and scale that model there, along with growing our US traditional curriculum-based business. Right now, we have about 35 schools who are on long-term licenses, and we're really trying to get that number up into the hundreds to help us from a future financing standpoint.
All right, we'll be watching the US expansion. That's great. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it back to Erica.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we are right on time. That's fantastic. Thank you, Mark, for moderating such an excellent discussion. Also, thank you to our panel for sharing your incredible stories and to our audience for joining us.